The Dodgers and Phillies get everything they could have asked for from their starters in Game 2 of the NLDS, but would a late inning rally from the Phillies be enough to even up the series at 1 apiece? This is MLB Game Night postseason edition.
When that final out is made, you know it's time for a Locked On MLB Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. Prepare to experience game day reactions like never before. Only on Locked On MLB Game Night. Your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night. We're talking playoffs, baby. They're here, and we are rolling. My name is Jon Frisch. I'm one half of Locked On Angels. With me is J.D. Hafron, host of Locked On Cardinals, and a man who prefers his wings on the bone. None of those boneless wings, none of those adult chicken nuggets, right, JD? Hey, coming up on today's show, Game 2 of the NLDS between the Dodgers and Phillies saw electric starts from Blake Snell and Jesús Luzardo. We got a whole lot of fireworks between the Cubs and the Brewers, and what's on deck in Game 3 of the ALDS. We're going to give you a little preview of what's coming up tomorrow. Before we get to all that, I want to thank our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. JD, the Dodgers and Phillies meeting in Philadelphia for Game 2 of their NLDS, with the Dodgers up 1-0 over the Fightin' Phils. And you know the old phrase, you were a young man once, so was I. And I'm sure we said this many times growing up. But I'm gonna change the old phrase around right now, and I'm gonna say, whoever snelt it, dealt it, because Blake Snell was dealing in this game, and so was Jesús Luzardo. Got to give him credit as well. And so they were the starters in this one. Just 4 hits between these two guys, 1 from Snell, 3 from Luzardo. Snell, for his credit, went 6 innings pitched, just 1 hit, 4 walks, 9 strikeouts. And Luzardo, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 very early on, 2 toward the end of his outing, 1 walk and 5 Ks. At one point, Jesús Luzardo retired 17 hitters in a row, but it was the 7th inning where things started to come undone for him. A couple hits put runners on 2nd and 3rd. Ryan Kerkering came out of the bullpen for the Phils, allowed 2 inherited runners to score, and then Matt Strom also allowed his inherited runner to score. Emmett Sheehan would come out in relief and go multiple innings, only giving up 1 run when Max Kepler got to 3rd on a triple. Trey Turner ended up driving him in. We got Harry of Locked On Dodgers, who has the results of this one, and he discusses how Dave Roberts, manager of the Dodgers, gave every Dodger fan, made him sweat at the end of this one. Let's hear from Harry.
Dodgers are up 2-0 in the NLDS, and yeah, it should have been a smooth ride tonight because Blake Snell, he dealt 6 scoreless, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts, absolute dominance. The bats, they took a while, but finally popped in the 7th. A little late night rally, Dodgers up 4-0, feeling good, right? Then Dave Roberts decides to give us all heart attacks. He sends Blake Trinan out for the 9th. First batter, hit. Next, double. Next, double again. It's suddenly 4-3 and nobody out. Why, Dave? Why? 3 Phillies hitters with the tying run in scoring position, but Mookie Betts, clutch play. Vesia ground out, and then Sasaki comes in like the monster closer that he is. Ground ball, ball game. Dodgers win 4-3, up 2-0 in the NLDS. But man, why make us sweat this way, Doc? Why? Sasaki is our closer. Nobody else touches the 9th the rest of the postseason when the Dodgers have a lead. Let's take this thing back to LA and finish the job. Let's go Dodgers!
Yeah, things did get dicey for the Dodgers there. Blake Trinan was in, as Harry mentioned. Nick Castellanos hit a double that scored 2, made it 4-3. But the Phillies came up just short of a rally. And Connor Thomas of Locked On Phillies, he's going to tell us about the quiet bats and the bad decision-making late in this game.
The Phillies drop Game 2 to the Dodgers. The top of the lineup is again unproductive, and don't even get me started on the managing late in this game. I'm Connor Thomas, your host of Locked On Phillies. And sure, Trey Turner came through late for the Phillies, but at the end of the day, you're 2 for 21 with your top 3 guys in the order. That's ridiculous. I mean, what are you paying these guys for if they're just going to collapse in October in the biggest moments? Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, and Trey Turner have not gotten the job done. And the manager telling Bryson Stott to bunt in that situation, to try and move up your slowest runner to third, getting the tying run thrown out at third in the 9th inning is just flat out ridiculous. This team deserves to have their season ended. I don't think they have any chance, but even if they did, how do you even find yourself a way to root for this team at this point? I mean, they just kick you in the teeth every time you believe in them, and that's where I'm at with the Phillies, and we'll talk more on the next episode of Locked On Phillies.
Yeah, it was a final score, 4-3 in favor of the Dodgers. They take a 2-0 lead in this series. JD, I saw a stat, 88.9% of teams who win the first 2 in a 5-game set go on to win this series, and this one heads to Los Angeles on Wednesday. It's going to be Aaron Nola for the Phillies. Yoshinobu Yamamoto will take the mound for the Dodgers. JD, I have some thoughts, and I want to toss you a question here because I think there's something here that changes the trajectory of this entire postseason. Now, Harry mentioned it. Dodgers have used Roki Sasaki as a closer in this one to get the last out. He prevented that tying run from scoring from third. And coming into the postseason, it felt like all the baseball people, baseball talking heads, us included, said that teams need to get to that Dodgers bullpen. But all of a sudden, the Dodgers pen from the regular season is not necessarily the pen in the postseason. We've seen Sasaki closing. We've seen Tyler Glasnow pitch in relief in game 1 against the Phillies. And then when they have gone to guys like Trinan and even Vesia is reliable, but it's guys like Trinan letting Phillies back into the game. So they're like, all right, get Sasaki up, get him in there. With this new version of the bullpen, did the Dodgers just turn this whole thing upside down? What do you say?
I mean, they certainly have given other teams a pathway to not having to use those guys in the bullpen that aren't very good. You already see it. The Phillies are getting ready to do it too. They're going to start Aaron Nola in game 3, and then Ranger Suarez is supposed to piggyback him. You saw the Brewers doing it tonight with the Miz. They're basically saying, look, who are our best pitchers? I don't care if they're a starter or a reliever. Who are they? Those are the guys we're going to keep throwing over and over. Now that they have a 2-0 lead, probably in game 3, if they need to go to the bullpen, maybe they won't use some of these guys. They have some, leeway here to use some of these guys and see if they can get away with it, which is what I think Roberts was trying to do in this one. He's like, all right, we're up 4-0 or 4-1 at this point. Let's see if we can get away with it. We're not going to get away with it. Sasaki, get up. Let's go.
Right.
So I think it's just smart managing. The best players should be playing at this point of the season. And if some of these guys can't get it done, you got to go with the guys that can, especially in a 5-game series, right? You don't really have a whole lot of room to screw around. So maybe things change a little bit in a set where you have to drag things out a little bit more, and you can't just keep using those guys. You might want to save them a little bit and have to use some of those middle relief guys. But I think it's a smart move, and I think other teams have picked up on it and are like, oh yeah, we can do that. It's not a video game where they're only starting pitchers, and you can only use them as a start. No, these guys are just pitchers. They're just pitchers. Make them. That's their job, is to go out of the mound and get them out. No matter when you call upon them, that's when they're supposed to do it. And I think it's a fantastic move by the Dodgers, and it's worked out wonders for them.
Yeah, we had a top prospect for the Angels on Locked On Angels. There's a shameless plug. Chris Cortez. We were talking about him pitching out of the bullpen, pitching as a starter this season. He said pitching's pitching. And really, any of these guys, they want to go out there and they want to collect their outs and they want to get the job done. And that's what we're seeing here from the Dodgers. They're getting it done. Thoughts on how the Phillies attacked Blake Snell? It kind of looked like the Reds last week. And I texted you because I was like, they're doing it again, JD. They're doing it again.
I don't know why people don't win. I mean, he still walked 4 guys in this game too. Right. But if you're going to go after him early in the count, there's got to be something on him where they're like, he likes to get, a first ball fastball over the plate and you can take advantage. That must be the game plan. I don't know why. I wouldn't want that. But, if the Dodgers are going to just bring in one of their stud starters anyway, I guess it really doesn't matter if you got Blake Snell going or if you're going to bring in one of these other guys. And the other side about this, which makes this a really good plan, is that these guys aren't just one-inning guys. These aren't 20-pitch type of guys. Like, they're stretched out. They can give you 40, 50, 60 if they need to. So just another added bonus to having so many really good starters available out of your pen.
I know we have some more games to go, but the fact that the Dodgers are up 2-0 on the Phillies, and then the Brewers are up 2-0 on the Cubs, that's going to do wonders, or I should say not do wonders, for the the break's too long, these teams are sitting around, that's it's going to dismantle their narrative, I think, when that, depending on how this 5-game series turns out for each of those guys. Hey, known home run hitting team, the Milwaukee Brewers, put up 7 runs via the long ball against the Chicago Cubs. We'll tell you all about it next on MLB Game Night.
Today's episode being brought to you by Monarch Money. Now, most people cannot name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth these days, whether it's 401ks, whether it's properties, investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's a big no-no. You want all the money you can get and put it in your pocket, don't you? And that's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together, and it does it in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch Money is built for people with busy lives just like you. Now, if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch's for you. You can link all your accounts in just minutes. You can see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money. It's yours without ever touching a spreadsheet. So maximize investments, increase your savings rate, easily review finances with your partner or your financial advisor, keeping a clear view of your financial health week to week and long term. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONMLB.
Talking playoff baseball on MLB Game Night, every game, every night. We're talking about playoffs, and we're taking it to Milwaukee, where the Cubs and the Brewers met for their NLDS Game 2. The Brewers 1-0 over the Cubs. These NL Central rivals meet for another game at AmFam Field. Cubs are going to give Shota Imanaga the start, as opposed to having Andrew Kittredge open for him like they did against San Diego. And then the Brewers, they said, hey, we're throwing a bullpen game, and Aaron Ashby's going to start it out for us. Both starters allowed some early fireworks, but Chuck of Locked On Brewers discusses how Milwaukee got the job done behind some impressive bullpen pitching.
One more win away. Hey, everybody. Chuck Freeman, it's The Reaction. Locked On Brewers. The Brewers use 6 relievers in back of their opener, Ashby, and they allowed just 1 hit. Led by the Miz, 3 scoreless innings, and he threw a pitch 104 miles an hour. Any worry about Miz pitching in an outing like this in postseason? None at all. And Churio, that hamstring, he wasn't going 100%. You could tell that. But it didn't prevent him from hitting a 3-run home run in the 4th inning to bust this thing wide open. And after the Cubs put up the 3-run home run in the 1st, well, Team Lifeless went dead lifeless after that 1st inning. They could do nothing against Brewer relievers. And Vaughn came back, hit a 3-run homer in the 1st. This place was shaking. Contreras, a tie-breaking home run. The Brewers were on their way. How about that? Now, the series is not over yet. I know, they're in command. They're probably heavily favored at this point. But, man, getting that 3rd win will not be easy. The first 2 were. Got some work to do in Chicago. We'll talk to you a little bit later on in the early morning hours on Tuesday morning for the next edition of Locked On Brewers. Going to be a late night. If not, we'll see you guys all early in the morning if you're not staying up with us. See you tonight. Please subscribe to Locked On Brewers.
Yeah, that's Chuck of Locked On Brewers doing a great job from AmFam Field, so that's pretty cool to see. Yeah, early on, JD, Seiya Suzuki gets the Cubs on the board with a 3-run home run in the top of the 1st, 3-0 lead, and they're feeling pretty good about themselves. But then Andrew Vaughn, coming over from the south side of Chicago earlier this year to join the Brewers, gets a 3-run home run of his own in the bottom of the inning. Wilson Contreras had a solo homer off Imanaga in the third. Jackson Churio, as Chuck mentioned, hit his 3-run home run off of Daniel Palencia in the fourth inning. Put the Cubs up 7-3, and they never looked back. Crazy thing about all this is that the Brewers were 22nd in MLB for home runs, and they're not a team typically known for, the long ball. We talk about the Yankees all the time relying on the long ball, but that's just the way things went in this one. And then, as Chuck mentioned, this was cool. Jacob Mizorowski, the Miz, comes in, gives him 3 innings of relief. First batter is Kyle Tucker. He throws 104 in there, and there were a couple of, 103.7, 103.5. I'm going to round up on those because he threw multiple.
Sounds like you're talking about a radio dial, the old school, 103.7.
103.7, The Miz, right? Yeah, and I think we got to start calling him the radio station. So this is cool. He got the win in his postseason debut, thanks to that Wilson Contreras home run that put the Brewers up 4-3 at the time that the Miz came in. He came in when it was tied. Contreras gives him the lead, and the rest is history. Now, on the other side of things, we got Sam Olber of Locked On Cubs, who explains his feelings about the loss and how this game really demonstrates just how different the Brewers and the Cubs are from each other.
Game 1 hurt, but it was expected. Tonight was tough to watch. There's no question about it. I'm Sam Olber from the Locked On Cubs podcast. I mean, I get accused a lot on the show of talking about the Brewers too much, but this is why. They've been really, really tough on us for about 7 years, and they just continue to outclass the Cubs organization in every way. We're going to debate live very shortly. Should Imanaga have pitched? Should it have been Ray? The Cubs scored 3 runs again. They have 12 straight playoff games of scoring 3 runs or less. Really hard to win playoff games like that. Just lifeless offensively. It just looks like these two teams, they're playing a different sport sometimes with the way the Brewers attack their at-bats and put the baseball in play and out-hit the Cubs 24-10 in these 2 games. The Cubs are going to need some Wrigley magic to make this thing a series. I'm sad and I'm disappointed. But I'm not shocked, and I think that's the biggest story.
Yeah, he mentioned Colin Ray. He came in for 3 1/3 innings of relief at the end of the game, giving up 4 hits, 2 walks, but nobody scored off of him. So kind of makes you wonder, and that'll be a good conversation over on Locked On Cubs. Imanaga, should he have started? Should have been Colin Ray. But here's the thing, JD. Sam mentioned it, 12 straight playoff games of 3 runs or less. Now they moved past San Diego, and the way that they did it was winning both of their games 3-1. And you and I discussed on this show just last week about how we thought those were going to be pretty low-scoring games considering the quality of pitching the Padres had and the Cubs had. It really could have been anybody's game. It all just depended on how they put the ball in play. But then, the Brewers put up 9 on the Cubs in game 1, but not with 1 home run. Not 1 home run was hit in that game. Now, consequently, the Cubs had 3 solo homers in that game, so it was a 9-3 loss. But tonight, the Brewers, they hit 3 home runs, put up 7 on the Cubs, while they just get that 3-run homer from Suzuki. What does it say? And I'll let you take this any direction you want to go. What does that say about this Brewers team, and maybe even the Cubs team, about how they're getting the job done so far?
One thing, and it's funny that Sam says, he gets some heat for talking about the Brewers too much. I get the same thing on Locked On Cardinals because what they do offensively is just so impressive. It's it's such a lame phrase, but professional at bats. I know it's dorky and it's cliche, but it's what you get from these guys. And it's very similar to what I see out of the Toronto Blue Jays, where it's not all based on power. It's not like the Yankees where, they can hit 9 home runs against you in 1 game, but they can also not hit any, and you're able to beat them pretty simple. The Brewers, they just put the ball in play. They play smart baseball. They make smart moves on the bases. They don't make a lot of mistakes. I've compared them. If anybody's ever seen the movie Top Gun, the original one, not the newest one, but what do they say about Iceman in that movie where he's like, you get bored and you do something stupid and he's got you. And that's kind of what the Brewers do. And, but yet, they can have their moments. I mean, it's not like they don't hit home runs. They just don't need to all the time. And when you got guys like Andrew Vaughn coming over for Aaron Savali, and he becomes a cleanup hitter for the Brewers. Are you kidding me? I was texting with a buddy of mine who's a Sox fan, and I was like, Andrew Vaughn again. He's like, he sucked with us. I don't know what happened. He was so like upset about it. I'm like, things just, it's something different. Whatever they're teaching in Milwaukee, all of our teams need to steal it from them because they're just so good about what they do out there when they're in the batter's box. It's just always smart at bats, and they'll take you deep if they need to, but they'll also take the sack fly or bunt a guy over or just, take the ball to right field to move players. They just do all the little things so well, and it's impressive to watch. And then on the other side, the Cubs, they've had trouble the entire second half putting any runs on the board. So it is not shocking that they're struggling the way they are against a Brewers team, which has pitched very well this season. You mentioned they didn't have much offense against the Padres. Neither the Padres or the Cubs were very good offensively in the second half. So it wasn't surprising that those games were low scoring. But once again, good pitching beats good hitting. And when you have just meh hitting, which the Cubs have been for the most part in the second half, the Brewers, they're going to beat you. They're going to find a way to outscore you every game, especially if you can only get 3 at the most. So I don't know how to turn it around either for the Cubs. I mean, you need obviously your big guys to step up and do big things. Say Suzuki has gotten hot here at the end, but where is PCA and where is Tucker and where's Swanson and where's Bush? I know Bush hit a home run the other day, but you need these guys to be doing more than they are already. Right. And it's just not happening. And, Milwaukee was the better team coming into this. So like Sam said, none of this is really all that shocking that it's going down the way it is. I don't have any magic words for Chicago to fix it and get back into it. Just best of luck, man. If you can't beat their bullpen game, you're really in trouble.
Yeah. Look, and this goes for any fan of any team. The Brewers play a brand of baseball that you wish your team would play because, like you said, they take advantage of the mistakes, they put the ball in play, all that stuff.
And it's weird that it hasn't given them more postseason success over the last few years. They're the ones who are getting bounced out early in the last couple of seasons. So I don't know, whatever they figured out, they've taken whatever they're doing in the regular season and they've taken it with them into the postseason. Like you said, just because they had a few days off, apparently they needed it. Chuck was telling us that they needed a break. They were craving a break. They were glad they got it. Yeah. And they look fresh and they look determined. And look out, the rest of the National League, even the Dodgers, look out.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, we'll get you ready for the American League side of the division series. And we're going to share how the Blue Jays made some postseason history. That's coming up next on MLB Game Night.
Today's episode also brought to you by Gametime. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your favorite team and players in person, but getting tickets, sometimes that can be a little tough. You got the queues, you got the login screens, you get those surprise fees. Takes the fun out of buying tickets, and it's why we use Gametime here at Locked On MLB and MLB Game Night and Locked On Cardinals and Locked On Angels. It's the app that gives the advantage back to our fans. Gametime is fast, it's easy, it's backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all your fees are included. The price you see, it's the price you pay. You'll know your total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Those other sites will do that to you, not with Gametime. They also give you zone deals. Those are amazing, where you pick the section and Gametime picks the seats to help you save big, faster, cheaper, less stressful than any other way you can buy tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today.
Let's get you ready for what's on tap as we get ready for the American League side of the division series. We head to the American League for the Tuesday night's action coming up quickly here. The first game on Tuesday's schedule is going to be an afternoon tilt with the Seattle Mariners against the Detroit Tigers, with the series tied 1-1 Here's how we got here, JD. Game 1 had the Tigers picking up a 3-2 win in 11 innings, thanks to Zach McKinstry's 2-out RBI single. And then in Game 2, the Tigers had to be feeling confident. They had Tarek Skubal on the mound, but Jorge Polanco, man, he was not impressed. Took him deep twice, but in the end, it was Julio Rodriguez's RBI double in the bottom of the 8th that helped give Seattle the 3-2 win. The Tigers finally get to come home for Game 3. They've been on the road for 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks. That's a long trip for the Detroit Tigers. Tell us a little bit about this pitching matchup coming up, JD.
All right. Well, Seattle will have Logan Gilbert on the mound, 6-4 during the regular season with a 3.44 ERA. Detroit's going to counter with Captain Jack Flaherty, who was 8-15, 4.64 ERA. Gilbert was only 3-4 on the road in 12 starts this year with an ERA at 4.74, which is more than double what his home ERA is for the season. It was at 2.24 in 13 starts, but Seattle feels like he gave them a better chance to win on the road than some of the other guys. And without Brian Wu on the roster right now, they decided they had to turn to him. Feel bad for Brian Wu, man. He had such a good season. He's got that pec injury right now. Gilbert did face the Tigers twice this season, averaging 9.5 strikeouts per start. His lone start in Detroit at Comerica Park was back on July 13th. It was a good one. He went 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 2 unearned runs, did strike out 9. As for Jack Flaherty, he hasn't seen another team except the Cleveland Guardians since September the 10th. 3 straight starts against them, including the start in that decisive Game 3 win to eliminate the Guardians, going 4 2/3. He allowed just 1 run in that start. He was better at home than he was on the road this year, but it wasn't like it was like something amazing. He was 5-8, 4.18 ERA in 17 home starts. He had 1 start against the Mariners back on July 13th, and that was at home, going 5 innings and allowing 2 runs on 4 hits. He struck out 7. 2 of those hits, though, were solo home runs by Julio Rodriguez and Randy Arozarena. Some wild stats here. John Flaherty's numbers were actually better all around when pitching on 4 days rest, which is weird. That doesn't normally happen. Like, he's going to be on Tuesday. It's going to be 4 days rest for him. 3.09 ERA. Opponents hitting just .210 against him, and he owns an impressive 11.5 Ks per 9 on the 4 days of rest. When he goes to 5 days, the extra day, everything balloons. 5.42 ERA. Opponents have a 2.58 ERA or a 2.58 batting average, and the Ks per 9 drops down to 9.3. So better for Flaherty on 4 days rest, not something normal. Something that does stand out about this particular game, though, is the status of Josh Naylor. Games 3 and 4, they appear uncertain after he didn't fly with the team to Detroit on Monday, took a personal day, and the team would know more information before Game 3 on Tuesday. He and his wife are expecting the birth of their first child. So it's not like some horrible thing is going on. No, they're supposed to have a baby. The plan has been for Naylor to remain with the team until she goes into labor, at which point he will leave the club and trek to Arizona, which is where they were before he got traded to Seattle. So if and when Naylor leaves, he'll be placed on that paternity list, which allows for a player to miss up to 3 days, and the Mariners can replace him on the roster during the absence with one of their 11 members of their taxi squad. If that impacts Game 3, the thought is that they would likely start left-handed hitting Luke Raley at first base against the right-handed throwing Jack Flaherty.
Man, newborn babies are no joke. I can tell you all about that one.
You got one, buddy. You know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Let's talk about Toronto and the New York Yankees in the other game. They're taking the show on the road, man. They're going to New York to battle with the Yankees. The Blue Jays up 2-0 in this ALDS. They've been dominant. Here's how we got here. Game 1, the Blue Jays led 2-1 until the 7th. They put a 4 spot on the board, and then another one in the 8th inning to blow out the Yankees 10-1. Alejandro Kirk left the yard twice in that one. Game 2 saw Toronto jump out to a 12-0 lead. Oh, embarrassing. And by the end of the 5th, and then they went up to win it 13-7. And as impressive as the offense was in their destruction of the Yankees' top starter, Max Fried, Trey Savage was impressive. He threw 5 1/3 innings of no-hit ball, struck out 11. Maybe the Blue Jays were holding him close to the vest a little bit. Not Will Vest. He's a Tiger. Now we head to Yankee Stadium, where the Yanks at home, they're going to try to turn the tables after being outscored 23-8 across those first 2 games, which is the most ever a team has scored over their first 2 games in a single postseason in MLB history. The stats are not on their side, but in a way, history is. What do you say, JD?
Well, in postseason history, all teams taking a 2-0 lead in any best-of-5 series have gone on to win the series 80 of 90 times. You mentioned this earlier, 88.9%. In division series with the current 2-2-1 format, teams to win both games 1 and 2 at home have advanced 31 of 34 times. So that's 91.2%, including 20 sweeps. None of that is good for the Yankees, right?
No.
But the most recent comeback in both situations came in the 2017 ALDS when the Yankees rallied past Cleveland. So they've done it before. They've been here before. They've succeeded in this spot before. So if that helps them feel a little bit better about their situation, there you go. Your pitching matchups for Toronto, it's Justin Bieber, who was just 4-2, 3.57 ERA. Remember, he was hurt all year.
You mean Shane Bieber?
Justin. It's Justin. I always call him that. New York Yankees are going to counter with Carlos Rodon, 18-9, 3.09 ERA. Now, Bieber, he has pitched at Yankee Stadium in the postseason before, struck out 7 over 5 2/3 innings of 2-run ball in Game 2 of the 2022 ALDS. He only made 7 starts this season. None of them were actually against the Yankees. Now, Carlos Rodon, coming off that solid start back in Game 2 against the Red Sox, went 6 innings, allowed 3 runs, struck out 6, a game that the Yankees won by a score of 4-3. Rodon was 10-4 with a 2.98 ERA at home this year, faced the Blue Jays twice, 0-1, 3.60 ERA, but both of those games were in Toronto and not at Yankee Stadium. In his career against Toronto, things haven't gotten much better, 2-3, 4.72 ERA in 9 starts.
Yeah, offensively for the Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., 6 for 9 so far with 2 home runs and 6 RBIs, including that first grand slam in Toronto postseason history. I think I saw he and Vladdy Sr. were the first father-son duo to hit grand slams in the postseason, so you got to love that. Aaron Judge, meanwhile, he's batting .444 this postseason, but just 2 RBIs, 1 extra base hit. The Yankees could really use something special from him to get momentum back on their side, and they could use anything out of Giancarlo Stanton, who is just 3 for 20. That's a .150 batting average. He's got 5 strikeouts, 2 RBIs, and 0 home runs. Now, to be fair, Justin Bieber is Canadian, so I think the minute Shane got traded to the Blue Jays,
they morphed into one.
Yeah, we have to call him Justin Bieber now. But that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On MLB Game Night. Thank you for being here and joining us for this episode. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends about MLB Game Night because we're doing this all postseason long. Even when there's no games to be had, we'll be here for you on MLB Game Night. We hope you'll come back and join us on the show where it's every game, every night.